It is Monday, the 28th day of October 2024, and the Patriots are not soft. Or at least they had more not soft players than the Jets had soft players, which helped them to get a win. A good win nonetheless. Jacoby Brissett, take a bow. Not only is he better and more of a man than Jimmy Garoppolo, but he led that final drive to nail down the win, so kudos to Jacoby Brissett. Now, thankfully, we won't have to hear the local media twist themselves into a Bavarian hard about the coach calling out his players. The players, rightfully, after the game, came out and said, "Hey, that's just how it is. That's how it goes. We were soft." Well, yeah, no shit. And that's what the coach did. He saw it, called it out. End of discussion. However, that's not how it works. I got honestly a stick in my craw, if you will, about the media. Not even so much the media themselves, but the public perception of. So, I don't know. But the local media, making that such a fucking huge story. And again, I can't blame them for it because it gets eyes, ears, and clicks. And also because it's a business. And that's the part that most of the general public does not seem to get. That the media in 2024 is more about making money than providing useful information or commentary. It's just money. And it becomes much easier to digest when you suddenly come to that realization. Anyways, I was talking about the Patriots, and then it became pretzels, and then the media, which is just an odd road to take. But I've got a bunch of dumb shit that all three of you are going to thoroughly enjoy. I'm going to talk about college football. Not really, but kind of. We're going to touch on college football. Because something happened over the weekend that really fucking pissed me off. And it shouldn't, but it did. We'll talk a bit more about the media. We're also going to talk about onions. All that and probably a shit ton more. Hopefully not. But this is episode number 165 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility. Swimming in the absurd while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time. It is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
Yeah, so what's up? What's happening? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. I hope you had a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. Mine was pretty good. No real complaints, which is nice. I talked about the Patriots briefly. Hell of a win on Sunday. Really managed to play like shit against a team who played even worse. So it came out fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen more dropped passes in the course of a single game than I did in this one. I mean, the number of guys that had 2 drops is appalling. And they're, professionals. They're wide receivers. Their goal is to receive their job is to receive the ball. Yet they couldn't do that. It's fascinating. That's what happens when you cheap out. I mean, really, is that what it is? I don't know. You just don't have guys that can catch. It's the long and the short of it, right? You'd like to think that they would figure it out. Figure out how to catch. Like, you have a wide receivers coach. I don't even know who the fuck it is. It's not Troy Brown. I know that. He's doing some other shit. But where is the wide receivers coach to coach them how to catch the football? Baffling. But hey, look, we're 2-6, okay? Technically ahead of the Jets somehow. I think the tiebreaker there is like strength of schedule or some crap. But now there's a bunch of teams with the same record, 2-6, and we're going into a game against another 2-6 team. Whoa, actually a 1-7 team, I think. I think Tennessee's 1-7. I don't know, but another winnable game, right? Think about it. Yeah, they're 1-6. Jets 2-6, Raiders 2-6, Browns 2-6, Jags 2-6, Titans 2-6, Giants 2-5, Saints 2-6, Panthers 1-7, and currently holding the number one pick in next year's draft. The Saints, oh boy, how about that? They started off 2-0 and looked fucking amazing. 6 losses in a row. It's funny. I was talking to a guy who I work with who is a Bills fan, and I'm like, oh, it's nice to see the AFC least is back. The Bills the Bills might clinch the division by week 12, the way this is going, which is just funny. But, interesting shit. The league is funny, right? The Chiefs are undefeated, but they're not that good. They're just lucky, like unbelievably lucky. Nothing but one score wins for the Chiefs. Also this weekend, big win for West Ham United, beating Manchester United and being the recipient of an absolutely horrible penalty call. I mean, Danny Ings runs into a guy in the box. VAR checks it. Oh yeah, that's a penalty. Well, game-winning goal. Thank you. We'll take the 3 points. And then on your way out, you can fire the manager. Probably before the plane touched down in Manchester. Oh my God. That's a train wreck. And it's wonderful because, I shouldn't even say that, right? Think about it. Nobody listening to this gives two shits about soccer, is my guess. But it's funny that it's almost like the Patriots, except, well, all right. So United had a string of Premier League titles. They did very, very well for a number of years, and then their coach left. Then their manager left. They still won periodically here and there, but I mean, there's more things to win. So it's not like the Patriots are going to go and win an FA Cup. You know what I mean? It's not how it works. But there's some similarities there, which I find rather interesting. Except, they've gone through, I think, what, 6 managers now? I think 6, maybe more. Since Alex Ferguson left. Not sure. Not sure because I don't really care that much. Sorry, Ian. Even though you're not listening to the show, I apologize. Friend of the show, Ian. Big Man United fan. Although not that big because apparently he didn't watch the match the other day, which is just, I find it a bit heartbreaking. But anyway. Also this weekend, the Yankees lost 2 games. And it sucks that they lost 2 games to the Dodgers, but they lost 2 games anyway, so that makes me a bit happy. But anywho, so listen, as I said, there's a handful of things that I really wanted to talk about. Some of it is really stupid, as always. Um, some of it, I don't know. My brain kind of worked a little bit this weekend, and I was thinking of different things that I wanted to talk about. And one of them that I posted on the Instagram page, which was a funny tweet about a guy who didn't know who was who, what was what, and it really stemmed from this whole thing with Zach Bryan, musician Zach Bryan. But it's just, media in general, right? And I mentioned it in the open, okay? And the number of people who get pissed off at, quote, the media, end quote, they just can't seem to figure out how this works. Because it's a business. Their goal is to make money. But you're going to get mad at the media for, doing their job. As stupid as the job really is, because if your goal is to take, news stories that should be of interest, and then just try to either not manipulate them, but present them in such a way that is going to get more eyes on it. That's the only goal. Right? That's all they care about. The vast majority of news outlets only care about the number of eyes they get in their story. And it's all social media, right? All of it. The one with the most followers is perceived to be the best. The stories or posts with the most likes are perceived to be the best. It doesn't matter if what you're saying is right or even at all logical. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you manage to fool the masses. That's the goal. Fool the masses enough to get them to watch. That's where fear comes in. That's why it's all about making sure, if you're watching local news, the tiniest little thing can be twisted like a Bavarian had into something that's going to get you to watch. I always got a kick out of like the old stories in the 90s about like carbon monoxide and how it was poisoning your home. And then carbon monoxide detectors became like a huge fucking thing, right? It's like, well, what are we doing here? Well, it made everyone panic. And that's it. That's the goal. There are no news outlets that are going to cater just to you. They don't exist. You're just part of the demographic based on things like age, sex, location, just like an AOL chat. And once they've got you hooked, all they need is your eyes and your attention, and suddenly, you're sucked into whatever it is that they're talking about. And then they'll just probably keep feeding you that crap over and over and over again so that you can never walk away. I am convinced, like, Donald Trump is a media creation of the highest order. We all have Mark Burnett to thank for that. Mark Burnett has made more shitty television than anyone else in the history of the medium. And he birthed the rise of Trump with that admittedly very entertaining program. Thought it was funny as hell. Presented him in such a way that he made him entertaining. It's a touch ironic because apparently Mark Burnett is actually a decent human being, which is the exact opposite of the Frankenstein's monster that he helped to create. But the people surrounding Trump now clearly learned a thing or two from Burnett in the way that he produces television, because they can manipulate the shit out of the media. Much like Survivor winners manipulate the shit out of their tribe. Same fucking thing. Smoke screens and zero substance help find a way to win. Today's smoke screen is Tony Hinchcliffe. If you're not familiar with Tony Hinchcliffe, funny motherfucker. He was on the Tom Brady roast. He has a podcast, Kill Tony. It's mostly funny. But in this instance, he's just a comedian who thinks he knows his audience, makes some bad jokes, and the reaction to the bad jokes is the story. So the bad jokes and the reaction to the bad jokes, that's today's story. And not the rest of that shit show that over the weekend at Madison Quadratstraatgarten. Whatever gets people to tune in is what they're going to give us. And the more that tune in, the more they earn. Right? Deep media dive by yours truly, who really knows nothing about it. Social media is only a somewhat different animal, okay? Famous people announcing personal shit on social media, celebrities thinking rightfully, I would assume, that a number of people are going to give a shit about their personal lives. The latest example is again that musician, Zach Bryan. He's not bad, very good musician. But the kid got way too famous, way too fast, in my opinion, which seems to be how all of these things happen now because of social media. And his girlfriend, Brianna Chicken Fry, and I've only just figured out why she's called that, but they were a couple. Emphasis on were, as they're now split. It was apparently a big deal last week. And they each made these long posts about taking time and asking for privacy. Like suddenly you crave privacy. Your entire lives are splayed all over social media, and suddenly privacy is a concern. If you actually wanted privacy, you wouldn't be doing that, right? You would just leave it alone. Like just you don't need to like respond to anything. Like you literally don't need to do it. But you did because you can't help yourselves. If you actually wanted privacy, you would just be aviation ordnance man second class Zachary Bryan. That's what you'd be. Or you'd be Brianna LaPaglia of bumfuck Ohio, or wherever the fuck she was from. But instead, you chose to put yourselves out into the world in wildly different ways. Yet we're supposed to either care or have sympathy in an instance like this? No. Like, why? I mean, I in one sense, right? If you're all human, you do feel bad when people get into these situations, right? But at the same time, you can't fucking honestly think that people are going to give you privacy. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And I'm rambling, really, I really am. But it's something that I wanted to talk about, and I couldn't figure out the best way to talk about it. But it just all seems to tie in together today. Just talking, I started with this thing about the media, and now the social media thing. It doesn't. It all ties together at the end of this. I promise. But there's nothing sacred anymore. In like at all. Not just not. It's like the media, social media, just in public life. There's nothing sacred anymore. It does not exist. Some shit for brains on Saturday posted on Twitter that he was told to take his MAGA hat off when he went to early vote in New Jersey. And he posted this as if he was being singled out for his hat instead of actually knowing the fucking rules about how you can't wear campaign-related articles of clothing, hats, pins, nothing when you go to vote. This fucking thing has been seen 3.7 million times. Shit for Brains has 200,000 followers. The masses are asses, and we're going to suffer for it. And that was a wildly nonsensical rant that all three of you are going to suffer for. All right, I mentioned that I wanted to talk about college football. I've never been like the biggest college football person. I'm not someone who's gonna like follow a school. I'm not somebody who's gonna pay like such close attention to it that that it takes up a ton of my time. Not to mention, I've always called it minor league football, and uh it's become that like to the nth degree. And the other day, it was Notre Dame, who were ranked, I don't know, 14th or something at the time, taking on Navy, taking on the Naval Academy, who were ranked, I think, 24th or something. Now, Navy was 6-0 with a team of guys who aren't professionals, unlike a lot of the players on Notre Dame. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, David, they're not professionals. Oh, uh, so they're there to get an education? Is that it? I'm sure some of them are, and quite frankly, I would venture a guess that probably half, if not more, of Notre Dame's roster is there to get an education. However, it's that 30% of so who are not, who are there to take advantage of name and likeness deals, who are preparing to go pro, who are bouncing around from school to school to try to, either improve those name and likeness deals or to position themselves better to be drafted by an NFL team. So Navy 6-0, not professionals. Rather, they're guys. Here comes a cliche. I need a a cliche alert. See, this is why I had I wish I had a professional sort of setup for this dumb shit, so that I could just push a button and a horn would go off, and that would be like the cliche horn, like a radio show. Anyhow, so these guys, they're eventually going to be of service to their country. That is exactly why they're at Navy. They're not there for anything else. And sure, they're playing football, but that is secondary to what they're doing to prepare for their time after they can no longer play football, right? So they played Notre Dame, fielding a team of professionals. Not a single Navy football player earns compensation from their name, image, and likeness. None of them have struck an agreement with any sort of booster-led incentive or collective, if you will. And apparently Navy has no such entity, and they wouldn't even be allowed to take it if there was. It's part of their enlistment agreement. They earn $13,800 a year as part of their enlistment agreement. But that money is for uniforms, books, laundry, haircuts, and other expenses and fees. And so this matchup, patently unfair, and honestly, it was a joke. Notre Dame won 51-14. So, I mean, this thing was a complete and total mismatch right from the jump. And you watch it and you're like, oh, maybe Navy can pull off a miracle, because that's what it would take. And there's no reason for these teams to be on the field. Zero. None. Because it's it's a rivalry that goes back hundreds of years or whatever. It's just the last time Navy beat Notre Dame, 1963. 1963. You know who the quarterback was for Navy? Roger fucking Staubach. Like, that's what it took. I mean, like, it's what are we doing? It's just stupid. Like it's pointless now. They've been playing for close to 100 years. Yet there's no good reason for them to continue. None. And it angers me. And it makes me mad because then people were like, "Oh, college football is the best. It's great." It's not. The vast majority of these games are terrible, blowouts, bad plays. You'll get good play once you get to, the bowl games, although they're not bowl games anymore. It's going to be the playoffs. Yeah, the playoffs. The whole I mean, I've bitched and moaned and whined about the NCAA on this program for damn near since I started because the entity is so fucking stupid and corrupt. Probably less so now because they don't really have the ability to do so. But I just find college football stupid. College basketball is different because it's a bit more level, but only to a certain extent. I mean, you only have 15 guys on a basketball team, whereas, these big college programs have 80, maybe even more in some instances. Who the fuck knows? But it's shit like that that just makes me keep college football at an arm's length and root for the demise of pretty much every program on a yearly basis. I like the upsets because then it rocks the apple cart, if you will, and gets people upset, which is always entertaining. But I can't stand it. And in fact, there's some other things that I can't stand that I need to talk about. One, it's more than one, but so there's a new women's soccer team that's going to be playing in the National Women's Soccer League next year. Okay, and there's a team in Boston. They decided to call the team Boss Nation. So it's like Boss Nation Football Club, I think, or FC. It's not even FC. It's just Boss Nation. Boss Nation, will you say? Yes, Boss Nation. BOS, then new word Nation FC. Boss Nation FC. How fucking stupid is that? It's an anagram of Bostonian, which is so fucking dumb. Like, honest, it's you've tried way too fucking hard. Way too hard. And you've come up with such a stupid fucking name. It's like, how long did that take? How long? You probably paid somebody way too much money to sit down and come up with that shit. FC Boston would have been fine. Literally. How about Franklin Park Athletic? Fine. Or literally almost anything else. Then they had like an ad campaign that was like talking about balls, 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 a bunch of balls, and you can't do that in Boston. You can't because you're gonna rile up the fucking libs, the super super sensitive libs, and that's exactly what happened. Like just people saying it was transphobic. I'm like, you're really thinking that much into a fucking ad campaign for a soccer team? Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, Too Many Balls, it was called. And it was, supposedly because there were just, too many men's teams, whatever. But oh my God, I mean, what are we doing? Yeah, transphobic. Because you think a stupid ad campaign is going to be purposely transphobic. How fucking irritating must you be in like real life if you complain about something like that? I'm more concerned about the dumb name and then the bad marketing. It's just that they always have to overthink these fucking things, right? Keep it simple, stupid. It's like the most basic of rules for literally anything you do in life. Keep it simple, stupid. Simple name, simple ad campaign. Instead, you had to go and be like creative, quote unquote. Oh, man. It's so dumb. I'm getting gassy. Boss Nation. No, fuck you. It's stupid. You're going to last 3 seasons max. And then just normal marketing. You're brand new. Like you have nothing. There's no base. You know what you have now? Now you have a stain of bad marketing and people getting angry at you for bad marketing. That's what you've got now. Because you had to get fucking cute, right? Ugh. Fucking stupid. Also stupid. Onions. Fucking an E. coli outbreak from onions at McDonald's. Good grief, man. Oh, I mean, just awful. What was it? 75 people got sick in 13 states from onions in your quarter pounder out west. Oh, how awful is that? It's just not. It's not good. I really hoped I had like more to talk about there, but I don't. I just find it fascinating that we can still produce product that gets people wildly sick across vast swaths of this country. It happens all the time. And it's not, I can't just blame McDonald's or the supplier or whatever. But oh boy, it's like just so fucking stupid. Ah, onions. And then the last just random complaint before I move on to more complaints. Cindy Brady canceled. Apparently Cindy Brady is transphobic, big MAGA, probably still has an annoying lisp. And the worst part about this shit, when this stuff happens to D-list celebrities, that they'll never stop talking about it, and I'll never stop hearing about it, and I'll keep seeing it and hearing it and reading about it as if, because when you click on one story, now the internet's algorithm is just going to keep feeding you stories about Cindy Brady and her latest quote about how she's canceled. Notice how I keep calling her Cindy Brady because one, no one really knows what her name is. I think it's Eve Olson. I think that's her. But she's done nothing else. I mean, she's probably done other shit, but she's been Cindy Brady since she was like fucking 7. And I'm pretty sure she's in her 60s now. I don't care. Who the fuck cares about this? Why? Like, fine. She's a shitty person. That should just be the end of it. Cindy Brady cares about what people she doesn't know has between their legs. News at 11. Ooh. That whole goddamn thing is such a cesspool to begin with. All the fucking, like, just weird shit that probably went on. And my guess is that we would never know the actual worst of it, because you could probably only imagine what it was like for somebody of that age, being on that program during that time. Oh man, it was probably fucking awful. But I don't care about her opinions. They're meaningless to me. Just like the rest of them, the rest of the D-list celebrities, like when they get this fucking just hair across their ass, thinking that somehow they're entitled enough to have more people give a fuck. Oh, it's tiring though, isn't it? This is such a dumb fucking podcast. All right, it is time for everyone's favorite part of the program. It is time for 3 gripes. Gripe number 1. Like, I titled this TV dramas. I just think it's like, I don't know, TV in general. But we'll stick with TV dramas. All right. Is it just me, or does it seem that every successful television show these days has to do with death? Like, there's some kind of death involved. Like, what is our obsession as a society with, like, death as entertainment? How fucking weird is that? I don't get that. And personally, I don't see that as being entirely entertaining, but that's just me. But, like, look at prime time network television. Every fucking show somebody dies. Unless it's how I Met Your Mother, although I'm pretty sure somebody eventually dies on that program. But, like, they're either dumb comedies, or somebody's getting shot, or somebody's found dead. That's it. Where is the entertainment value there? It's lost on me. And I'm slowly creeping up to the target demo for that shit. But I don't get it. Here's the other thing I don't get, right? So one of the most popular of these things is Law and Order. It's all about cops trying to solve crimes, which probably have to do with death. Every single character in that show, every single character would have retired 10 to 15 years ago. These fucking people are way too old to still be doing this job, whatever job they're doing. Like the DA, the detectives, all of them. They're all way too fucking old. They would have retired, they would have cashed out, they'd be living in Florida. And all this shit about, like, straight from the front page or straight from the headlines. Because if there's more than one person over the age of 55 that's actually working, then that's made up. That's bullshit. There's probably like one Sipowicz, though, in every town. every small town police force has a Sipowicz who's just fucking, like, miserable. Like, he's worked for 30 plus years. Hasn't been promoted in 25. He's just collecting a paycheck, hates his wife, hates his kids. And they hate him too, so he just keeps working. I don't even know if, like, Sipowicz was that guy. It's not even Law and Order. Like, what show was Sipowicz on? NYPD Blue? Was that Sipowicz? I don't know. I just find the name funny. Yeah, it's bullshit. All right. Yeah, Detective Benson, or whatever the fuck her name is, she would have retired 15 years ago. Gone out of it. Who needs that stress? All right. Here's a great idea for like an episode of Law and Order where uh somebody's on, they're just kind of sitting, like having coffee, doing nothing, or like, chatting with their family. They get a call about, a body found somewhere and they have to go. So they get up, they go down to the scene reluctantly, lift up the police tape, walk in, and it's just some kind of fucking grisly scene. And the character's like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't need this shit. I'm out of here. And then the whole episode is like everyone else trying to convince them to come back. And it's just shots of them like, jet skiing somewhere, uh, you know, doing lines off a hooker in Thailand. Uh, just all kinds of just weird random shit so that they're not working at those jobs that probably just destroy your brain, which is why they all retire early. But we still have to see all these fucking old people pretending to be cops. Like it Ice-T is fucking 66 years old. Yet he's still a fucking cop? No. Ah, man. TV is so dumb. Gripe number 2, the Dun Kings. Uh, that commercial was funny once. One time. You know how many fucking assholes I saw at Gillette Stadium this weekend dressed up as the Dun Kings? I would say at minimum a dozen. Enough. You shouldn't be. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna get into that. Oh, I just hate it. Like it's so. It's not because now it's unoriginal, right? Not that I give a fuck because I don't care about Halloween. Like it just. I haven't cared since I was a child. I shouldn't say that. I've cared sporadically since I was a child. But, it takes a lot of effort to get me to care about, much of anything, which is, somewhat depressing. So, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. Yeah, but I wonder if, ugh, stupid. I wonder how many of those people bought the Dunk King's outfit and were like, oh my God, this is the best costume ever. No one else is going to do this. And then they get to the party and there's 12 other Dunk Kings. And also Dunkin' Donuts blows. Gripe number 3, smokers. Why must you smoke in the most inconvenient places? You're always in the way. Always. And you always feel the need to smoke where other people are going to have to deal with it. For what? I want nothing to do with that shit. Yet, you think that your comfort while actively killing yourself is most important. There's a guy who takes the same train that I do, who rides his bike to the train station, okay? Goes over to an area that's not near the stairs to walk up. Now, mind you, this is a large parking lot. This guy could smoke anywhere. He could walk into the middle of the parking lot and smoke. He could walk to the edge of the parking lot, the back part of the parking lot, anywhere. You know where he chooses to smoke? Right at the fucking stairwell. Right next to the fucking stairs. Why? And the worst part is, right? He has to like chain up his bike, which is not near the stairwell. So he chains up his bike, walks over to the stairwell, and then lights up a cigarette. What the fuck are you doing? For what? Why would you do that? Smoke away from people who don't want to smoke. I fucking hate it. I hate it so fucking much. My wife is an amazing human being. Like she is I've said that she's saintly in the past and that I'm like she's just a great human being. Except she fucking smokes. And she like refuses to quit. And it bothers me so much. It eats away at my fat, disgusting insides. And it's just like my growing up, my dad smoked, and I fucking hated it when I was a kid. And now I have to deal with this now. I have to deal with my wife and the smoking, and it's just like we have to wait around until she's done smoking before we can go somewhere. It's gross. It smells bad. It makes everything smell bad. There's nothing appealing about it whatsoever. Zero. And if you find something appealing about it, you're a fucking asshole. I just fucking hate it. It's gross. That's the whole point of the rant. And that fucking guy, the guy at the train station, fuck you, man. Oh my god. If you've actually sat and listened to this crap, like, what the fuck? Honestly, please tell your friends all about it. And then also, please call in to the revamped voicemail line, which I can actually receive text messages on too. So if you're feeling saucy, you want to send a text, have at it. 617-804-1557. 617-804-1557. So that's it for the show. I'm all done. It's getting late. I'm hungry. I'm tired. And this is the downside to doing this show like after I've worked all day. This is the first one where I've had to work a full shift, talk a bunch, get flustered and frustrated, have my blood pressure go through the fucking roof, which is a whole other story for another day. But yeah, this is not really good for the old voice box, but whatever. It's fun. Yeah, so that'll do it for the show. I ask you again, please, tell your friends, okay? I need to have more people listening to this shit for no other reason than satisfying my very meager ego. That's not even it. I don't really give a fuck that much. It's an audience of one. But I would like to share it with some not like-minded individuals because most of the people that I know, like we're not entirely super like-minded. We're all different, which is the best part, which is why I enjoy it. There's some similarities and there's some like-mindedness, but not entirely, and that's great. That's how it should be. Tell your friends, tell your moms, please call the voicemail line. Go to. Apparently, I tried to upload my podcast to YouTube, and YouTube is like, no, there's something wrong. But then I was listening to it on YouTube, so. Uh, um. So it's like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, blah blah blah. What else? iHeartRadio, Amazon. This fucking trash is everywhere. I'm gonna get farmed out at some point. But whatever, fuck it. Um and again, tell your friends, tell your moms, tell your wives, tell your husbands, tell your kids to listen to the show. They'll get a really good education on what not to do with their lives. You can go to Instagram at ComplaintsPod. What Threads at ComplaintsPod. I have a website, complaintsandobservations.com. There's nothing there really. other than links to the to the podcast. Money well spent, mind you. And apparently, I've just re-upped the domain davesucks.com. That still exists. What else do I say here? Yeah, okay, that's about it. Listen, take care of yourself. Okay, no, I'm back to the which was I need to write this out so I can I can lessen the amount of ums. It sounds so bad. How has nobody told me that the sound so bad? I noticed it last week when I was listening to last week's episode. Oh, just fucking terrible. Tell your friends, tell your moms, check me out everywhere. Oh, fuck. Where was I? I don't even know. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.